G'day everybody and welcome back to the Pokestraya YouTube channel. It's Jordan here. Today I am back with episode 2 of the deck breakdown. Once again we're going to be taking a look at a Mega Rayquaza deck. A different build. I prefer this build. It's the one I've liked the most out of testing Mega Ray. So I'm going to show off this deck list here. This is the second part of this series of Mega Rayquaza. There's a third part which might come out tomorrow or the day after, hopefully. So we're just going to straight in and jump ahead and look into this list, and we'll talk about the deck a bit more in depth afterwards. So let's get started here. We've got 3 Mega Rayquazas again. I think 3 is probably all you really need for Mega Rayquaza, especially with the 2 Super Rods, which we're playing again in this build. I think you only really need the 3 Mega Rayquazas. For Rayquaza-EX, this one here is a proxy. I actually don't have any of the current Rayquazas, so I'm playing the black and white one. So for Rayquazas, just to better optimize your chances of starting with Rayquaza, I found when I was playing a 3-3 line, I would start with things like Shaman more and Hooper more, and you really just want to be able to start with those Rayquazas and get them set up as soon as possible. So before I was playing Rayquaza Water, so I was playing the Manaphy. This one I'm playing a Rayquaza Jolteon, as you can probably see by the video title. I think Rayquaza Jolteon kind of fell under the radar for a bit. I actually think it's the best partner for Rayquaza in Standard at the moment, and there's a couple of reasons as to why. I think the only deck that Mega Rayquaza struggles against is Giratina. I think Mega Rayquaza's got a pretty good matchup against everything in the Standard format. So I think Rayquaza can pretty much handle any other thing that comes your way, except for maybe a Giratina. Jolteon-EX, if you're able to get this thing out turn 1 and put a DCE down and they don't remove that DCE, you should have a pretty good matchup. Also against anything playing basic Pokemon, such as things like Yveltal-EX, you could take a slower approach to those and kind of lock your opponent out of the game. There's a couple of different things that Jolteon can help you with, the Raikou for instance, things like that. I think Jolteon's really the best partner for Rayquaza. It's got free retreat, which is great. I'm playing a 2 of at the moment. This could actually drop down to a 1 of. But I also don't want to risk the chances of me prizing it in the Giratina matchup. We're going to be playing 2 Hooper again. Again, a card that really could go up to 3. I don't like playing 3 personally because I feel like I start with it too much. So 2 is enough for me personally, but if you feel like you could fit the 3rd one in here, go for it. It's very good to have that 3rd one just for when you do get a your Skyfield does get bumped or something. It's good to have that 3rd Hooper to search for some more basics. For Shaman-EX, just like the other one, you really need 4 Shaman-EX if you're planning on playing Mega Rayquaza. Setup is very good, and it's kind of where the deck gets its speed from. And finally, 1 Jirachi Stardust. I'm not sure if this is going to be all in shot here. Hopefully it is. 1 Jirachi Stardust. Again, it can just help you in that Giratina matchup. It can buy you a turn. I originally cut Jirachi, in the last video I cut Jirachi at the end of the video, in favor for a Ranger. After doing some more testing, I felt like Jirachi was still just a bit better than Ranger. Under most circumstances, Jirachi's fine. I think Jirachi's just a bit better. It can slow down Giratina, whereas if in the Giratina matchup you want to... What I found myself wanting to do is being able to Ranger and Hexmaniac in a turn, so I could still attack with the Mega Rayquaza, which just isn't possible. So if you're able to Stardust for 10, that allows you to next turn to play that Hexmaniac. If they haven't attacked you, you're not locked or anything, you can just start using these Mega Rayquazas a bit more effectively and start taking knockouts on those Giratinas. Or you can just Stardust to slow down a turn where you can attach a DC to a Jolteon-EX. Now moving on to the supporters, we play 3 Professor Sycamore again, just because it's the best draw support in the game, and the supporters are actually very thin in this deck. I'm going to be playing 2N, just for some shuffle draw. I did originally drop this back down to 1, but after doing some more playtesting I found myself needing these draw supporters more. 1 Lysander, just because of space reasons, you can't really fit the 2nd, nor do you really need the 2nd, and 1 Hexmaniac. And that is all the supporters we play in this one, just 7 supporters. I think the last deck was also 7, so it's about the same, if not 1 less. There are a couple of different supporters you could play in this, as well as these ones, which I'll talk about at the end of the video. Moving on to the other item cards and training cards that we have in the deck, we got 4 VS Seekers, just to get back our supporters. There's not much to say about 4 VS Seekers, it's the best card. One of the best cards in the game, so why not play 4 of. 4 Ultra Ball just to be able to search for these Pokemon. Mainly you want to be able to get these Hoopers going to get as many EX Pokemon you can onto your bench as fast as you can. Next we have 3 Trainer's Mail. Again, a card that really could be 4. I just don't really have the space for it at the moment. Again, this deck is still in testing, but I think this at the moment is the best list I've been able to find. And 3 Trainer's Mail honestly works fine. 4th would be great, but not necessarily needed. We played 4 Puzzle at times in this one. Puzzle was a card that I cut from my last deck after testing with it for quite a bit. I felt like there was better options for Puzzle. After doing even more testing, I've realized that Puzzle is really the best play for me. Personally, I feel like Spectral Charge wasn't really working out well for me. I would often start with it early in the game and just sycamore it away because I didn't have any special energies in the discard pile. Puzzle of Time is more versatile than that. Unlike Bunnelby, it's not shuffling things in, and Bunnelby did need the energy to do it. Often you'd be committing a DCE to shuffle back in 1 DCE, and then the Bunnelby would just get knocked out anyway. So I think Puzzle of Time's definitely very good in here, and it's kind of relates back to a supporter, which I'll talk about shortly, a supporter that could be very good in this, that could combo well with these Puzzle of Times. Puzzle of Times can also help get back things like your Super Rods or just the Mega Rayquaza, whatever you need. Puzzle of Time can get it, and it could also get back this card. Only 2 Mega Turbos in this build. Now, I personally like playing 3 Mega Turbos in Mega Rayquaza. I find it more consistent, but I am playing less energy in this build. And also with the Puzzle of Times, I felt like I could probably get away with only 2 Mega Turbos. And honestly, you don't really ever need 3 often enough. I think once you get into a comfortable position, you're able to just singly attach to Rayquazas. This just kind of helps speed up the turn 1 Emerald break. But I still think I've been able to work it with 2 Mega Turbos instead of 3. We got 2 Super Rod in here just to shuffle back in the Pokemon that get knocked out. Unfortunately, Karen isn't printed yet, so we're quite reliant on these Super Rods. Next up, we have 4 Rayquaza Spirit Links. Just because we're playing a 4-3 line, we want to be able to put Spirit Links onto all of our Rayquazas. 2 Float Stones, mainly for the Hooper. On rare occasions, it might go down on a Shaman or a Jirachi if you start with it. Jolteons get free retreat. Mega Rayquaza you're going to be attacking with. So this is mainly for those Hoopers getting Lysanded. You can just chuck a Float Stone down. You could cut this down to 1 and put in an Escape Rope. That's something I definitely considered. I just felt like Float Stone was a little bit better under the circumstances. I was testing with just playing Escape Ropes, and I just prefer to have those Float Stones, so you can easily turn 1 if you do start with that Hooper, just retreat it. 4 Skyfield, because we are playing Rayquaza, we really want to win the Stadium War with this deck, so why not play 4? And finally, for the energy, we are playing 4 DCE and 4 Lightning Energies. That is the Mega Rayquaza Jolteon deck that I've been testing for the 2017 standard format. Now we're going to talk about some cards that could possibly be in this deck, some things you could take out to put in. Now, honestly, I find the Pokemon line to be pretty close to perfect with this. You could argue to put in the Bunnelby if you wanted to not play the Puzzle of Times. I think the Pokemon line should be fine for now. I haven't really had a problem with it. I feel like there's enough basic Pokemon in here that you have a pretty good setup almost all the time. There's 13 basic Pokemon in here, so you really shouldn't have trouble getting them down. The supporters, there was 1 supporter which I really considered putting in here, and that is a Skylar. Skylar can help you get that second Puzzle of Time, that clutch Puzzle of Time, which can then lead to an Ultra Ball for a Shaman. It could also just be that Skylar for the Ultra Ball on your first turn for the Hooper. I think Skylar in the later game does become a bit of a slow supporter, so it's one reason I didn't really put it in here. The other is for space reasons. I just don't feel like I could cut anything at the moment for a Skylar. Although Skylar is definitely a card I considered, and probably one of the best supporters that you could add to this. Obviously a second Hex Maniac would be nice. However, again, that's just a space reasons. Pokemon Ranger, not really needed with the Jirachi and the Jolteon-EXs, because Ranger honestly was just there to get rid of those Giratinas. Now you've got the Jirachi and the Jolteon, which can slow down Giratina as well. I think the items are pretty much perfect. I don't think there's much I would change there. Possibly a Switch or an Escape Rope would be nice, and 3rd Mega Turbo would be great. A card that I cut from the last deck was Acrobike. Again, I found myself just acrobiking away things I didn't want to acrobike away. I would have like these weird choices where it's like I don't really want to discard either of these options. So I think at the moment I'm gonna opt not to play the Acrobikes and just leave it at this. So that's for the regular Mega Rayquaza Jolteon build. There's honestly not much that can really be changed about this deck that I can think of. I feel like this is just about as close to perfect as I like it. Obviously people's playstyles are different. You might want that third Hooper, you might want a 3-3 Mega Rayquaza line, which is fine. I found myself just starting with Rayquaza too often. Now I can start Rayquaza Jolteon, which starting Jolteon is actually really good as well because it does give you that free retreat ability. So if you do want to retreat into the Jirachi first turn and just Stardust away something is also an option for you. That's Mega Ray. Leave your comments below if you've got any recommendations. If you've been testing Mega Rayquaza Jolteon, I like this build for it. It's what I've found to be most consistent so far, and it has pretty good matchups across the board. So this is part 2 of 3 with Mega Rayquaza. Tomorrow, or the next day, I think it'll probably be the following day actually, I'm going to be talking about Mega Rayquaza's chances in the standard format and other different variants to the deck. More of just analysing Mega Ray in general than as a specific deck list, but I will probably maybe throw out some deck lists, or at least potential partner Pokemon with Mega Rayquaza, and also Mega Rayquaza's future with evolutions coming out, because I think Mega Rayquaza gets 10 times better when evolutions comes out. There's 2 cards in there which I really like for Mega Rayquaza. So we'll talk about all that. Karen is coming out soon, hopefully, I think in the US. It's coming out in the Rayquaza v Keldeo decks that they're coming out with, which I believe is set for September 29th or something. I can't quite remember the date. I think it's September 20-something, around then, so it shouldn't be too far away from Australia either. That's Mega Rayquaza Jolteon. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed, be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.